मार्क्स के पढ़ने के हम बात करेंगे जो बाद में मार्क्सिज्म के बाद जो बातें हुई, जैसे लेनिन बात करेगा। ही अकॉर्डिंग टू हिम लेनिन मार्क्स इज अ गॉड, ठीक, एंड ही कांट बी फील्ड, दैट्स व्हाई ही मॉडिफाइड द आइडियाज ऑफ मार्क्स। उसने दो मेन कंट्रीब्यूशन दिए, इंपीरियलिज्म और कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी की। इंपीरियलिज्म इस सेंस में कि मार्क्स का आइडिया जो था वो अब होते हुए नहीं नज़र आ रहा। जो कैपिटलिस्ट सोसाइटी है वहाँ पे रेवोल्यूशन नहीं हो रहा। एंड ही सेड कि मार्क्स जो है वो एथनोसेंट्रिक है, जो हम कि एथनोसेंट्रिक मीन्स कि he confined himself to the problems of his surrounding, and for also he considered blessing in disguise for barbarians what British rule. So theory of imperialism also given by the Hobbes theory of imperialism, but he gives the first critical analysis of imperialism. That's the highest state of capitalism, that is it turns monopolistic and financial capitalism from mercantilism to industrial capitalism to monopoly capitalism and financial capitalism. And here imperialism, an idea, becomes colonialism in practice, that is dependency. So जहाँ पे न्यूलिज्म इंडिपेंडेंस की बात करता है, यहाँ पे डिपेंडेंसी की बात करेंगे, बेनिफिटिंग एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ अदर, एंड यहाँ से मर्ज होंगे डिपेंडेंसी इन प्रॉपर्टी पॉलिटिक्स। ये सारी बातें द लेनिन इज ट्राइंग टू शो कि रिवॉल्यूशन पोटेंशियल जो है वो खत्म हो गया। इंपीरियलिज्म एज अ ब्लेसिंग इन डिसगाइज बन चुका है उनके लिए, हिट एंड दे टर्न नेशनलिस्ट इवन। ऑन द अदर हैंड बर्नस्टीन रिवाइज करता मार्क्सियन थ्योरी को, वो बोलता पार्लियामेंट्री रोड टू सोशलिज्म, इवोल्यूशनरी सोशलिज्म। पर लेनिन वाज मैन ऑफ एक्शन। इन हिज पैम्पलेट व्हाट इज टू बी डन, लेनिन प्रपोज हिज स्ट्रेटजी, और इस स्ट्रेटजी ने कहा कि इंजेक्टेड फ्रॉम ऑन साइड मिडिल क्लास इंटेलेक्चुअल्स वैनगार्ड ऑफ रेवोल्यूशन, नॉट लाइक ट्रेड यूनियन बिकॉज वो बार्गेनिंग करते हैं, वो ये बार्गेनिंग के लिए नहीं है। एंड इवन इट इज़ नॉट लाइक ए बुर्जुअस पार्टी बिकॉज वो हेरार्कियल है। कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी इज ए डेमोक्रेटिक सेंट्रलिज्म, जहाँ में डेमोक्रेटिक मतलब है पॉलिटिकल ऑफिस एट डिफरेंट लेवल्स, and each official will be elected by the people, and wish of the people will be implemented. Centralism means unity and discipline. Communist Party is a pyramidal structure. Base broad, people will communicate their aspirations to the leader. The top leader will formulate the plan. Once strategy is decided, it is to be observed at all levels without questioning. So Lenin in his book State and Evolution elaborated post-revolution, that is on state structure. उसके बाद क्या होगा रेवोल्यूशन के बाद। लेनिन की तरह एक हो रहा है PLEKHENOY फ्रैंकोइन, और स्टालिन ने भी फर्दर डेवलप किया था फीचर्स ऑफ पोस्ट रेवोल्यूशन। पर लेनिन को ब्लेम किया जाता है कि ये तूने डिक्टेटरशिप ऑफ कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी ला दी। इसको रोजा लक्समबर्ग क्रिटिसाइज करेंगे। रोजा लक्समबर्ग क्रिटिसाइज बोल लेनिन बर्नस्टीन दैट दे टेक अवे द इमेंसिपेटर फीचर ऑफ प्रोलेटेरिएट। शी सपोर्टेड स्पॉन्टेनियस रेवोल्यूशन, बल्कि एक ही रेवोल्यूशन ही, जैसे लेनिन बहुत हो गया थी स्पॉन्टेनियस, बल्कि एक दो स्टेप वाइज। सो यहाँ पे लेनिन ने जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन डेवलप करने की बात की कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी के द्वारा, जिसमें अंडर गाइडेंस ऑफ स्टेट पीएसयू विल बिकम रोबस्ट। पर लेटर जो स्टालिन आता है वो सेंट्रलाइज करता पावर को, और वो उसको ORWELLIN स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेट बनाया था, ऑरवेलियन स्टेट बनाया था। सो यहाँ पे ट्रॉट्स्की आता है। ट्रॉट्स्की ने फिर क्रिटिसाइज किया स्टालिन को कि स्टालिन जो है ना अपने पॉलिटिकल के गोल के तहत वो सोशलिज्म इन वन कंट्री की बात करता है, और वहाँ पे वो डोमेस्टिक एंड फॉरेन पॉलिसी को क्रिटिसाइज करता है ट्रॉट्स्की। एंड वहाँ पे वो परमानेंट रेवोल्यूशन कंसेप्ट रहता है। फर्स्ट परमानेंट रेवोल्यूशन कंसेप्ट मार्क्स ने दिया था। जैसे जैसे बुर्जुआ क्लास आएंगे तो फर्स्ट रेवोल्यूशन होगा फ्यूडल क्लास के तहत, फिर जब इमर्जेंस ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोलेटेरिएट होगा तो वहाँ से उनकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूंस डेवलप होगी, फिर रेवोल्यूशन होगा बुर्जुआस के अगेंस्ट, और वो रेवोल्यूशन जो पीजन के द्वारा वो बैक ऑफ पोटैटो से। बट देयर वाज नो स्कोप ऑफ रेवोल्यूशन लेफ्ट इन वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज। लिया फिर लेनिन ने कहा कि इंपीरियलिज्म वगैरह हो चुके हैं, वो नेशनल हो चुके हैं, ब्लेसिंग इन डिसगाइज हो चुकी है उनके लिए, वो बात तो पोटेंशियल नहीं रहा अब। सो लेनिन ने कहा कि कैपिटलिज्म एक वर्ल्ड सिस्टम बन चुका है, इकोनॉमिक्स इंटरकनेक्टेड हो चुकी है, डिपेंडेंसी आपको हो चुकी है, इसलिए रेवोल्यूशन के कैपिटलिज्म होगा जहाँ वीक है, दैट इज रशिया। पर यहाँ पे इशू होता है कि रेवोल्यूशन कैसा हो, बिकॉज वहाँ पे इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन हैड जस्ट स्टार्टेड एंड देयर इज नो प्रोलिफरेशन ऑफ प्रोलेटेरिएट। सो दे हैव टू डिसाइड whether Communist Party had to work with bourgeois against feudal, or they just give the leadership to workers and incorporate the peasants. That is a single revolution. But later Trotsky will come And the concept of permanent revolution means counter-revolution was derived in new context, that is external context. And this context was given against Stalin's socialism in one country. And Trotsky gave this in his book Revolution Betrayed. And aim was to promote revolution achievements, to promote revolution, Russian revolution outside Russia. He hold that if surrounded by capitalist states, socialism will not survive in Russia. माओ के बारे में ये है ना, फर्स्ट सक्सेसफुल एप्लीकेशन ऑफ मार्क्सिज्म इन एशियाटिक सिचुएशन. एंड इसकी फीचर ये है कि फ्यूडलिज्म इंपीरियलिज्म को सपोर्ट करता है, नहीं करता. एफ आई का वो. एंड वी जस्ट एक लाइन लिखनी है. माओ बिलोंग टू पीजन फैमिली. There was a tradition of peasant revolution in China, especially in Hon province, where Mao spent a lot of time while understanding Marxism. That's why he is against feudalism and imperialism. Example against Japan, but he's not against the capitalism. Marx की बात की जाए in context of comparison with Mao, Marx will say NASA, that is नेसेसिटी फुलफिल करना, एलिनेशन को दूर करना और सॉलिडरिटी डेवलप करना जो होगा प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी को डिस्ट्रॉय करके. इन मॉइज्म peasantry is in leadership, whereas Marx consider peasantry as backward. Since peasantry doesn't fit alienation, it can't go for socialist revolution. ये कहना था मार्क्स का, बट यहाँ पे माओ का कहना है कि पीजेंट लीडरशिप रोल में है. एंड माओ ने कहा मार्क्स का जो कंसेप्ट ऑफ डायलेक्टिक्स है ना, वो सिंपलिस्टिक रिजिड है. सिर्फ कैपिटलिस्ट और वर्कर की लड़ाई हो रही है एंड डायलेक्टिक्स जो है वो एंड नहीं होगा. ये तो बहुत सिंपलिस्टिक हो गया और रिजिड हो गया. माओ का क्या है, प्राइमेटिक एंड फ्लेक्सिबल. उसने एंटागोनिस्टिक और नॉन एंटागोनिस्ट. एंटागोनिस्ट में लड़ाई जो रिजॉल्व हो सकता, और ये है फ्यूडल इंपीरियलिस्ट के साथ. नॉन एंटागोनिस्ट जो रिजॉल्व हो सकता है, और डोमेस्टिक वर्कर्स बुर्जुआस को हम मिला सकते हैं. तो ये इतना रिजिड नहीं है इनका रिलेशन, इतना डायलेक्टिक्स इतना रिजिड नहीं है फॉर माओ. एंड दिस इज बिकॉज एवरीथिंग इज चाइल्ड ऑफ हिज टाइम. एंड यहाँ पे कंसेप्ट माओ का भी आता है परमानेंट रेवोल्यूशन का. ट्रॉट्स्की का रेवोल्यूशन एक्सटर्नल था, सपोर्टिंग कम्युनिस्ट एल्सवेयर. पर माओ नॉन एक्सपेंशनिस्ट नहीं है. माना कि उनका पॉलिसी ओपनशील था, रिस्पेक्टिंग द सॉवरेनिटी एंड नॉन इंटरफेरेंस इन डोमेस्टिक अफेयर, अनलाइक यूएस. माओस को फाउंडेशन डोमेस्टिक कंटेक्स्ट में था, जिसमें उसका ये मानना था सबसे पहले लीडिंग टू विक्ट्री ऑफ कम्युनिस्ट ऑन द मेनलैंड, collectivization of agriculture drive, and launched the Great League Forward program. And all these why? Because to weed out the reactionary elements who may appear from time to time. So 100 flower campaigning we let 100 flower blooms and let 100 school of thought flourish. People should not fear expressing the difference of opinion from Marx, but his main real purpose to know who is opponent. Then Cultural Revolution 1960s में for weeding out the reactionaries, he used the red gods to kill his opponents. And so here permanent revolution in Mao was very different than other Marxists. So we have covered the orthodox Marxist, where we have gone through Lenin, Stalin, Trotsky, Rosa Luxemburg, Mao. They also know the Soviet school. Then comes the neo-Marxist. In neo-Marxist, we have to go through critical structure. Critical related to German school and structure related to French school. In the structural school, we see Althusser and Foulons. That we discuss later, but firstly we go through the Frankfurt school. That is a German school, critical school. Before that, we should know what is the difference between political Marxism and philosophical Marxism. In political philosophy, Marxism focuses on action and strategy, and philosophical focus on understanding and explanation. So it was established in Germany in 1923 for research in social science, had intellectuals from various disciplines like sociology and psychology, and even field of history and philosophy. 1930, Max Horkheimer became the director, and under his directorship, dominated by a Marxist scholar of different discipline, therefore associated with Marxism. However, it is different from the orthodox Marxist, and in that respect, they are not even regarded as Marxist because they incorporate the ideas of philosophers. When Marx himself criticized a philosopher like Hegel, and they incorporate the idea of those who were critical Marx like Max Weber, but they are Marxist on the basis that they criticize capitalism. and their aim is to tell the rise of fascism and Nazism. That is why there was loss of freedom. So their main concern was emancipation freedom, and they provide critique of enlightenment, modernist, positivism, and other related features of modern society. And they are also known as a critical Marxist because they are critical of Soviet Marxists like Lenin, who brought socialism through revolution. But this not resulted into emancipation. Even it became totalitarian state under the leadership of Stalin later. And even they criticized the Lenin method of injecting constitution from outside. And also they are critical of the Marx understanding of history, as Marx underestimated the force of subjective forces in shaping history. So there is no simple cause and effect. We should understand subjective factors like consciousness, thinking, the thing that control our thinking. So they provide the psychoanalysis. Scholar like Sigmund Freud, who provided an explanation of human behavior and highlighted the role of subconscious mind. On this basis, Eric Fromm, FROMM, has used this psychoanalysis to understand the rise of totalism in his book Fear of Freedom. And another prominent scholar like THEODORE Adorno has analyzed the role of family, like family culture, the values of duty and discipline that submit to authority and make us conformist rather than revolutionary. Also, there is Hungarian Marxist. His book History and Class Consciousness. His name is Lukács Lukac apostrophe S. Lukács, Hungarian Marxist, and he has analyzed Marx's understanding of consciousness. He had Marx look at consciousness in a very mechanical manner, means consciousness is derivative of material condition. गरीब हो तो आपको अकल आएगी, ऐसे नहीं आएगी. Lukács ने helped Immanuel Kant and Hegel. Order to Kant, whatever knowledge we gain gets filtered through our subjective consciousness because experience vary and we not respond to every information in a similar manner. On this basis, Lukács said even Marx had not studied history objectively. His understanding of capitalism is limited to his time. The nature of capitalism has changed, become organized, they coordinating, prevent the collapse. New form of domination has been developed, like technology. There is a close connection between capitalism and technology. Revolution, scientific revolution and capitalism go hand in hand. They kill the consciousness and they result in the reification, REIFICATION, means commodification or dehumanization, no capacity to think, just like Marx's concept of alienation. Another scholar, Karl Koch, book Marx and Philosophy, established that Marx's understanding was limited to his time. On all this basis, scholars investigate the beginning of Marx's ideas, that is the reason of Marx shuru se shuru. One thing we have to understand that Marx belonged to the time of positivism. Scientific method in social science was given a great importance at that time. But these critical belong to the time when there was dissatisfaction with the science and shifting towards philosophy. Therefore, they more focus on emancipation, that is, emancipation from the rise of totalism. Example: existentialism, radical feminism, postmodernism, phenomenology like Hannah Arendt. So, in simple, Frankfurt School known as a philosophical Marxism, different from social Marxism, that is a political Marxism, that is revolutionary Marxism. And philosophical Marxism, they more focus on emancipation and not socialism or communism. And also, neo Marxism is humanist, means treat human at the center, unlike orthodox, which take structure at the center, as they are structuralist. So Frankfurt School is divided into 1 and 2. In 1 we have discussed Eric Fromm, Adorno, and they emphasize on role of subconsciousness, psychoanalysis, role of family, role of advertisement. Then comes Lukács and Karl Koch, who said Marx's understanding was limited. Now capitalism has become organized, controlling consciousness, killing subconsciousness, and creating hegemony, as but said by the Gramsci, through mass media, through advertisement, advancement in communication technology. So technology and Scientific revolution and capitalism go hand in hand. Then comes Herbert Marcuse, MARUSEVU, in his book One Dimensional Man, father of New Left. Emphasis on communalism, commodification, workers no more revolutionary class, they are not proletariat, they become consumer, possesses the commodities, satisfaction in fulfilling their lower needs, no more motivated for revolution, aram aram hai. Lost capacity to think, herds of sheep and goats, so no hope for revolution, and it is only a single hope from subaltern classes like blacks, students, women, those who are still away from the consumerist culture. So like India tribals living in remote areas, Niamgay Hills. So man who is multidimensional is reduced to one-dimensional living in one-dimensional society, and this one-dimensional is consumer. When two human talk, they don't talk like human, they talk like salad and boiled. So the most important industry is culture industry, and we need to give emphasis on the culture and not just focus on the basic structure. So criticizing Marx. Culture is not natural, it is manufactured. Mass scale, controlling minds. So study of culture should be part of Marxism. So it is not capitalism which is forcing us to work more than what is required. It is because of consumerism that we work more than what is required. So Mag Horkheimer and Theodor Adorno also in his book Dialectics of Enlightenment applies the concepts of Marx, Weber, the concept of instrumental reasoning and loss of freedom, where they said that there is a dialecticism, that is freedom will go on as we progress, and there will be a technological reasoning. Technology has solutions, and society will become impersonal, and it's rule based, technology driven, and governed. Society will progress, corporatization, technology will become inevitable, and society will move towards dehumanization. They will growth of instrumental reasoning, where organization will be assessed on the basis of efficiency and not basis on normative principles like justice, equality, humanity. Hence, when normative values get undermined, ability to think right and wrong goes. Futurist totalism and no freedom. So, in simple words, they are pessimist. No freedom, negative dialectics, technical reasoning, instrumental reasoning, dehumanization, bureaucratization, technologization. So neither people will be free in capitalist society nor in socialist society. इस हद तक के वो pessimist है यहाँ पे. But in Frankfurt 2.0, there comes a Habermas, which gave the concept like legitimation crisis, structural transformation of public sphere. He emphasized on the need of democracy, that is democratization of public sphere. So he is optimistic in nature. So Habermas is not pessimist, the possibility of emancipation, and he is not critical of modernity also. And he emphasizes on discourse, ethic, idle speech situation, community action. So it is a purely procedural where no goals, values are defined. People coming together and deliberate. So where people express freely, where there is no force except force of freedom. That is the ideal speech situation. And they will be able to arrive at rational normative principles. So the emphasis on the public sphere, like Hannah Arendt. वो इतना ऑप्टिमिस्टिक है, उसने ये भी कहा कि सोशल मीडिया लाइक टेक्नोलॉजी कैन बी क्रिएट एन अल्टरनेटिव फॉर पब्लिक स्फीयर. And these all ideas of neo-Marxism was later used by the analytical Marxism to understand the shortcomings in the theory of Marx, like Hohen. Socialism is a hat that has lost its shape because everyone wears it. Why everyone wears it? Compulsion of democracy in countries with mass poverty, and why lost its shape? Varieties, endless varieties, variety from country to country, person to person. So original socialism is opposition to capitalism. It is an ideology of modern West, ideology of poor working class, who also support modern rational scientific industrial society, but not on the principles of capitalist principles. That is the private ownership. They support common ownership, collectivization. So in comparison to capitalism, because of linkages with the imperialism, socialism has greater appeal in the third world countries. And also the culture of third world country matches to social ideas like collective civilization and social solidarity. So socialists address each other as collaborators. And also socialism support equality and fraternity more than liberty. They reject the view of atomistic man. Socialists, no one is an island, each man is a part of continent. The core value of socialism is like they stands for egalitarian society, reducing the gap between rich and poor, and they emphasize equality, social, and economic justice. And also they are structuralist because man is by nature social, but they are alienated due to social structure. They need to change this structure. That is social system. No alienation. And they reject the agrarian view of market model. For them, society is natural. They support organic view. And also for them, there is no contradiction between man and society. So don't require right. So they disregard and disrespect and reject bourgeois concept of right. That's why they said freedom is not a right, but crisis on certain condition. That is freedom from necessity, fulfillment of basic needs, and this is only possible in common ownership of means of production. And they consider liberty is a bourgeois concept and emphasize freedom, emancipation, collectivization, common ownership, fulfillment of basic needs. And they criticize the liberal conception of equality, equality before law, and equality of opportunity because they are formal procedural, doesn't result in equality of outcome. So they support equality of outcome. It is possible only when there is common ownership of means of production. बट स्टेट के मामले में ना डिसएग्रीमेंट है. सम सी स्टेट एज एक्सप्लॉइटेटिव, सम सी स्टेट एज यूजफुल पॉजिटिव सेंस. एंड मेथड ऑफ ब्रिंगिंग सोशलिज्म में भी डिसएग्रीमेंट है. सम सी रेवोल्यूशन, सम सी पीसफुल. सो बिफोर मार्क्स वी कम इवोल्यूशनरी सोशलिज्म दैट इज पीसफुल. सिमोन चार्ल्स फोरिस, रॉबर्ट ओवन जो बोलते हैं पहली थी तो कॉन्साइंस ऑफ कैपिटलिस्ट क्लास टू ब्रिंग सोशलिज्म. एंड दे emphasize the establishment of community forums and cooperatives. However, they could not make much influence. That's why after Marx comes violent variety, peaceful variety like democratic socialism. So violent variety like Sundi, peaceful like revisionism. Then comes feminism, that is father to Marx, near to liberalism. Then comes guild socialism. Also, at the point of time of Marx, Marx considered evolutionary socialism as utopia because of peaceful methods suggested by them. However, we can say that it was too early to start socialism at that point of time. So we continue the after Marx socialist movement. That is liberalism, that is Germany prominently. Scholar is Edward Bernstein and Carl Kutsky. And Bernstein ने कोई कहा था कि पार्लियामेंट्री वे में. एंड इसलिए क्यों बोला? बिकॉज मार्क्स ने कहा था ग्रोथ ऑफ इनक्वालिटी होगा, पोलराइजेशन होगा, लेकिन इमर्जेंस ऑफ मिडिल क्लास हुआ. मार्क्स ने कहा था कि इमर्जेंस होगा मोनोपोली कैपिटलिज्म, पर यहाँ पे लार्ज नंबर ऑफ स्मॉल स्केल एंटरप्राइज आ गई. सो कंस्टिट्यूशनल वेल्थ इज नॉट हैपनिंग इन वेस्टर्न सोसाइटी. एंड आल्सो सोशलिज्म एक मूवमेंट है rather than dogma. सो मूवमेंट शुड कीप ऑन हैपनिंग इन द स्ट्रेटजीज. स्ट्रेटजी यहाँ पे क्या है कि पार्लियामेंट्री रोड टू सोशलिज्म. एंड जो रेवोल्यूशन है पॉसिबल, नॉट डिजायरेबल. डिजायरेबल पॉसिबल इसलिए कि कैपिटलिज्म चेंज हो चुका है, डिजायरेबल इसलिए नहीं है बिकॉज वर्कर्स अब मेजोरिटी में है, उनके पास राइट टू वोट है, सब अपने डिमांड्स को पुट कर सकते हैं उनके सामने. बर्स्टन के आइडिया वैसे एक FERDINAND स्टेप भी दिए थे. तो ऑल्सो एसोसिएटेड विद जर्मन सोशल डेमोक्रेसी पार्लियामेंट्री अप्रोच. सो ब्रिंकिंग डेमोक्रेसी इन सोशलिज्म. सोशलिज्म है, आपको डेमोक्रेसी लानी है वहाँ पे, दैट इज सोशलिस्ट डेमोक्रेसी. यू ब्रिंकिंग डेमोक्रेसी इन सोशलिज्म. एंड मार्क्स विल सैड, सो सैड मीन्स SD, socialist democracy. You are bringing democracy in socialism by parliamentary method. Feminism is a British variety of socialism, peaceful, gradual, farthest from the idea of Marx, based on the Ricard theory of rent rather than the historical materialism. Like G.S. Mill, problem is not the capitalist class, but landed aristocracy doesn't see state as a source of exploitation. So middle class work करेगा state के साथ to regulate the rent. So feminism is a socialism of middle class. In the sense कि middle class working with state bring reform, appeal to the common sense. So feminism is based on the strategy of Roman general Fabius, Fabis. Strategy is strike when iron is hot, that is work consistently and wait for the right time. So appeal to the common sense. How? By diffusion of ideas, creating awareness. So this is a परमिएशन स्ट्रेटजी, PRMEATON। सर प्रोमिनेंट पर्सन हमें कौन है? जॉन बर्नर्ड शॉ, एनी बेसेंट, सिडने वेब, सिडने ओलिवर, राइस वेब, सोर्स ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंस लास्की और मिल। तो यहाँ पे इसको बोलते हैं डेमोक्रेटिक सोशलिज्म, ब्रिंगिंग सोशलिज्म थ्रू डेमोक्रेटिक मीन्स। ओके, सिंडलिज्म फ्रेंच वैरायटी, वायलेंट, नियरेस्ट टू मार्क्स, क्लास स्ट्रगल सपोर्ट किया, एंड कंसीडर पॉलिटिकल स्टेट एज इवल। स्टेट कट, क्लास स्ट्रगल हो रहा है यहाँ पे, ये बोल रहे हैं, और उस क्लास स्ट्रगल में क्लास को एक्सप्लोर करता है स्टेट, दैट्स वाई। सो वो इन्फ्लुएंस कौन होगा? कार्ल मार्क्स और जॉर्ज सोरल, रिफ्लेक्शन ऑन वॉयलेंस जिसको बात करता है। सो सिंडिकेट रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं वर्कर यूनियंस, सिंडिकलिज्म वर्कर मूवमेंट है जो बात करता है वर्कर कंट्रोल ऑल द एस्पेक्ट ऑफ लाइफ इन सिंडिकेट स्टेट। आल्सो फॉर देम द रियल इंटरेस्ट इकोनॉमिक इंटरेस्ट, सोसाइटी शुड बी ऑर्गेनाइज ऑन इकोनॉमिक लाइन्स। मेथड क्या होंगे? स्ट्राइक, लाउड डाउन, स्लो डाउन। एक्सपोनेंट्स कौन है इसके? फर्डिनेंड PELLOUTIER और एमिले EMILE POUGET। एंड दोनों के बीच में फेमिनिज्म और सिंडिकलिज्म के बीच में है मिडवे, दैट इज अ ब्रिटिश वैरायटी गर्ल्ड सोशलिज्म। ये बोलते हैं कार्ल मार्क्स ठीक है, उसका कंसेप्ट क्लास स्ट्रगल, हम कैपिटलिज्म के खिलाफ भी हैं, और रियल इंटरेस्ट इकोनॉमिक इंटरेस्ट है। ये तीनों बातें सिंडिकेट वाले भी बोलते थे। बट ये रेवोल्यूशन के बाद वॉलेंट नहीं बोलते कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मैथड की बात करेंगे, दैट इज फेमिनिज्म वाले। मैथड इज नॉट रेवोल्यूशन। हमें CDH कोल CULE, वो प्रोमिनेंट स्कॉलर हैं जो फंक्शनल रिप्रेजेंटेशन की बात करते हैं कि इकोनॉमिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन करना, तो फंक्शनल पार्लियामेंट के साथ साथ पॉलिटिकल, सो फंक्शनल पार्लियामेंट होना अलॉन्ग विद द पॉलिटिकल पार्लियामेंट। So they supported the functional representation and political representation. Will go only for functional. Syndicate से functional की बात करते हैं, not all economic interest, rather only for workers. There is a concept of industrial democracy or democracy industry, that is the participation of workers in. Therefore, socialism, there are different variety of socialism, has lost its shape, but there are some common assumptions also. So they supported the collective ownership, not the private ownership. They all supported the wealth redistribution to ensure equality. They supported state intervention sometimes but not sometimes, but largely public good distribution के लिए, and focus on welfare of all the citizens. And also 1990s में socialism lost its appeal. Liberal scholar like Francis Fukuyama, he said the quick enough to declare the death of socialism, hegemony of liberalism, and also socialism as a dustbin of history. However, socialism had not lost appeal. जब तक पॉवर्टी है सोशलिज्म रहेगा, अपील रहेगा, पॉलिटिकल अपील रहेगी. And also after the collapse of socialism, we see the revival of socialism in the form of new social movements, anti-globalization movement like New Left, politics of climate change, revival of left since global financial crisis in the 2007 and 2008, so environmental movement होना वगैरह वगैरह. US और Latin America में भी people favor Democrat, that was at that time, and left always had significant presence in Latin America countries.